Hey guys, it's Adawgz and welcome to my channel. So today I'll be showcasing my Kheios Deck profile, which does include the promo. I wanted to give a very big thank you to Jeffrey Salam from the Cardfight Vanguard Trades Australia page. He did hook me up with these. All he wanted to do was pay for shipping and they shipped them out. So I really do appreciate that. I was actually kind of struggling to pick up these promos, so he has helped me a lot. Just getting those hands of promos for me. So again, Jeffrey, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, man. Alright, so we'll go straight into the right line for Kheios. So for the 0, we have 1 with Profound Mercy Kheios. I'm going to go over his skill, it's the grade 0. For the grade 1, it is the In the Calm Streets Kheios. So this unit is rode upon by Quagmire Solace Kheios, which is the grade 2. You can reveal the top 2 cards of your deck and put all normal units from among them into your soul, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So if you reveal orders or triggers, they go on the bottom. Next we have Quagmire Solace Kheios. So this unit is rode upon by Approaching Fangs Kheios, which is a grade 3. Your soul charge 1. If the soul charge card was a trigger, you get to draw a card. But if it was a normal unit, you get to choose 1 card from your soul and call it a Reguard Circle. So you can call like stuff like a Mechani's or maybe other Reguards that we maybe want to call out. We can use in the early game and kind of rush. And then next we have the Approaching Fangs Kheios. So it's act on the Vanguard Circle once per turn. You can counterblast 1 to discard a card from your hand, and then look at the top 3 cards from your deck. Choose 1 card from among them and put it into your hand. Choose up to 1 unit card from among them, call it to Reguard Circle, and put the rest into your soul. So you can essentially counterblast 1 to discard 1, to draw 1, call 1 if you want to, and put a card in the soul. You can put the other 2 cards, you can put the other 2 cards into your soul instead of calling 1 and soul charging 1. So definitely do keep that in mind. But most of the time, I usually will draw 1 or will call 1 point on the soul. So it definitely helps kind of dig through the deck a little bit quicker. Try and accelerate the soul, make sure you get to 13. Because when he gets to 13 soul, he has a very nice ability. So when he attacks the Vanguard, if your soul has 8 or more cards of different card names, you can choose one of your Reguards and it gets plus 10k power until the end of the turn. Simple enough. But if your soul has 13 or more cards of different card names, you can choose all of your Reguards instead. So that essentially means if you have a full field, you can give all your Reguards 10k power, which means you have 20k columns on your left and right Reguard circles. And if you have a booster behind Kheios, that booster does get plus 10k power. So you're swinging with some very big numbers. So this card is definitely very scary, especially when you get 13 off straight from the get-go. But he's especially very scary with Mechani. So Mechani has 2 skills. So it's placed on a Reguard circle. You can counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's Reguards of the same grade as the card Soul Blasted for its cost and retire it. So we don't typically use this skill too much, as we have another card in the deck that does it a little bit better. But sometimes if we need to start something off, we do sometimes use the skill. As I said, because they're swinging for 13 at first, but obviously before we get the persona raid, they're swinging for a small number, so the opponent can just easily intercept and it'll guard the 13k attack. So we want to kind of set things up where rather than having intercepts, you're swinging with Mechani's, then and then you stand them. And so pretty much how you stand, which is with the second skill. I should go over now, sorry guys. So order on the Reguard circle once per turn. When your Vanguard attacks, if your soul has 8 or more cards of different card names, you can stand this unit. And if you stand this unit, put this unit into the soul at the end of the turn. So as I said, with Kheios will give everything plus 10k if you hit 13 soul. But if you're at 8, you can give 1 unit 10k. So if essentially just open 1 Mechani, we can swing with Mechani, then we can swing with Kheios, give Mechani the 10k as it will stand. We can swing with Mechani for 23. That's kind of like the basic level of stuff. So the restander which Mechani can do is definitely very nice. Having potentially just 5 attacks every turn can eventually become quite crippling on the opponent. As I said, if they don't reveal any triggers, especially when you're thinking of your Mechani's when they're very low, you can put the opponent in a bad spot. Definitely, I've had games where the opponent hasn't hit defensives. I've gone with the 5 attacks. I've hit the 13 soul with Chaos and stuff, and the turn's been absolutely devastating. So Mechanics is a very solid card. Again, being a restanding Reguard, so meaning we can do 5 attacks, and also being able to snipe stuff off if you need to is also very nice as well. So you definitely always want to see Mechanics in this deck. As I said, that's kind of the way we get that extra aggression. And then we do run 3 of the Chaos in the main deck as our Persona rights. So next we'll go into the 2s. So we do run 1 Selfish Engraver, 1 Indicate Arrow Dragon, 1 Amazing Frost, 1 Crimson Expeller, 1 Ultrasound Siri, 1 Cunning Sword Dance Quigger, and then 1 Diabolist Returner Derek. So the Selfish Engraver, we run her as we have some 1-hit pressure, the Soul Charge on in the early game if it does hit. And then in the later stages of the game, we do have a form of counter charge. So as when she attacks, if you still have 10 more cards, you can counter charge 1 by putting in the soul. So she kind of gives you soul and gives you your counterblast back. You don't typically tend to use too much counterblast in this deck overall. If you manage your resources pretty well, you don't really use too much CB at all. Sometimes you might use Chaos skill maybe a couple of times just to kind of get through the deck, dig really fast. But overall, you don't use too much CB. But again, she's good to have in case that scenario does arise. So next we have the Indicate Arrow Dragon. So this is just a on-play soul charge one. As I said, since the majority of our cards are all different card names, we'll always pretty much guarantee to proc off his skill. If you do start running a lot of multiples of different cards in the deck, then his effectiveness starts to go down a little bit. So you want to try and keep it as one-offs as you can possible. 2 is okay. 3, it gets to that, it gets to a little bit rocky waters and stuff. You have to have a really good reason why you run like 3 or more cards on the deck, honestly, for Chaos skill. Now, as I said, people have gotten the deck to work, with running, just playsets of all the cards on the deck. That's perfectly fine, but this build, the aim is pretty much, if I go first, I high roll. I want to be able to get to 13 straight away and make sure that all the 13 cards in the soul, all different card names. So that's why I try to keep everything at 1 where I can as possible. Next we have the Amazing Frost. So what this card pretty much does is you, when it's placed in guard circle, you can soul blast 1, draw a card, choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. If you have 8 or more different card names in your soul, it's plus 5k power. But if you have 10 or more, it gets plus 10k instead of 5. So first of all, we can soul charge out the unnecessary extras we have in the soul. So maybe we have multiples of a certain card in the soul, so we don't want it out. Obviously not a Mechani, because Mechani will try and get it out of the soul, like on a Regal circle. But as I said, we can just kind of soul blast unnecessary units that we don't in there. Allows us to draw 1, and then we can kind of put a card in the soul. So we do have a couple of cards which I do want to have in the soul, so we can proc off their skills. So the Frost definitely does help with that. It is also very nice too that it is a nice standalone attacker. As I said, when we have 10 cards in the soul, it'll be 20k by itself, or Persona Ride 30k. Now, again with Chaos as well, if we hit 13 soul, straight from the get-go, going first, Amazing Frost can actually hit 30k if we do get there. So definitely a very, very nice card. Next we have Crimson Expeller. So pretty much when it attacks, you can soul charge 1, which is very nice, helps accelerate the soul. And then in the soul, we can counterblast 1, put this card on the drop to soul charge 1, and choose one of the things that gets plus 10k pounds in the turn. So the reason I won the one Crimson Expeller is that when Chaos swings, when you have a certain soul requirement, it gives our Reguards the power. It actually doesn't give the Vanguard the power. So Crimson Expeller helps with that, just buying replace itself, getting a soul, and giving the Vanguard power, so that the Vanguard actually becomes scary. So that's why I run the Crimson Expeller. With the Ultrasound Siri, so when it's placed in Reguard circle, we get to panel spawn, look at the top 3. We can put a card from the top 3 into the soul, and then put the rest of them on the deck. But then as well, and we get the shuffle the deck as well, sorry. But then as well, if you have four cards of different grades, you have to draw one. So it's kind of like potentially just on place, counterblast one, soul charge one, draw one, which is very nice. Gives us extra resources, extra cards we can call now because we're getting a +1. And then we're filtering, and we're also making our soul count bigger. So definitely very nice. Next we have the Cutting Sword Dance Quagra. So when it's placed in Regal Circle, you can perform all the effects according to the number of cards in your soul. So if there's 7 or more, you can counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, choose a card from your soul, and put it into your hand and soul charge 1. And if there's 13 or more, all your front row units get +5 key power until the end of the turn. So the Quagra is definitely nice here, being able to grab stuff out of the souls, so like PGs, Mekanis, Persona they have them there as well. And then with a second skill, being able to make magic numbers, especially sometimes when we get a Persona at least we kind of get like a small Persona kind of thing, give the front row 5k power. So our Mekani, instead of being 13, they're 18. Our Vanguard's 18 as well. So we're hitting some nice magic numbers that just one intercept won't be enough for. So Kika is definitely nice. And then lastly, we have the Derek. So I'm pretty sure it's a skill just to be able to count one, put a card in the soul. And then for every 4 cards in the soul, we get to retire opponent's Vanguard. This is kind of like a way of like kind of ball control, where we can use it skill every turn as long as we have it in the field. Just put a card in the soul and just kind of blow up the opponent's field. So if we can continuously keep this on board, we can just put it in the back row or something like that. We can do quite a bit of attacks, potentially 5 at most, really big numbers. And then we have Derek to control the board. So Derek's definitely a very nice card of the deck. So after doing a lot of testing, after trying Derek, I'm like, damn, this feels pretty good. Imagine just, especially against decks like Overdress or like other pre-line decks, we can just kind of like get rid of them, have that pressure of chaos. Yeah, it's really nice. Now for the one-offs, we have the 1 Steam Maiden Barney, we have the 1 Quen Lu, we have the 1 Ling, we got the Dual Core Dragon. Let's have a little bit, sorry guys. We have the 1 Gun Ram. We've got 1 Sheena, 2 Pony. Sorry guys. 2 Repelled Boundless Dragon, 1 Sanctitude, and then a Miranda. So we have the Barney here. So skill is when it's placed in Regal from hand. If your soul has 8 or more cards with different card names, you can add a +1. Choose a grade 1 or less card from your soul and call it the Regal Circle. But if you do have 10, you can call a grade 4 or less. So what this allows us to do is, if we do have the 10 cards in the soul, we can actually call out Mekani, so we can continuously get multi-attacks off 5 attacks. Next we do have the Quen Lu. So the Quen Lu is kind of used in the later stages of the game. So how it works is you put it in the soul, choose one of your regards, and it gets +2 K power until the turn. Then if your soul has 7 or more cards, your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater regards without regard attacks. So it can essentially stop Sentinels, especially when we're swinging for really big numbers with our Mekanis. Next we have the Ling. So the Ling's pretty much on place on Regal Circle with the top 2. Put 1 in the soul, 1 bottom. There's a nice, definitely a nice filter. As I said, it can help us potentially just not soul charge triggers. As I said, we want to kind of filter to where most of the decks only triggers, if we can get there. That's definitely another kind of win con we do with the deck. As I said, we're hitting really massive numbers, so definitely helps. Next we have the Dual Core Dragon. So when it's pretty much when it attacks or bursts, it gets 5k power. And then at the end of the battle, it goes into the soul. So if we open up in the early game, we can extra rush to the early game, and then we can make it disappear, pointing at the soul. As I said, it's a standalone attacker, hits 13 too. So it's definitely really nice in the early game. And yeah, so just you can aggro and then start to gain resources. We have the Gunning Ram, so it's replaced in Regal Circle, you can soul charge 1. Then act on Regal Circle once per turn, you can soul blast 3 and draw a card. So we sometimes do use the soul blast 3 to draw a card. We usually just to get rid of like kind of the excess soul. Maybe we're past 13, so we can actually start soul blasting stuff, just to kind of make our hand a little bit bigger. So he definitely does come up. Next we have the Sheena. So it's placed in Reguard circle from hand. You can put one of your other Reguards into the soul, look at the top card of your deck and call it to Reguard or put it into your soul. So we can use it to put the pony, which the pony's skill is, we can bind this card from the soul with soul charge 2. Or we can put maybe other cards in the soul as well that, you know, maybe useless right now. But just being able to essentially just replace a card in the field for maybe even a better card is very nice too. Otherwise, just replace potentially soul charge 2. And that's really nice too. It doesn't cost any counterblast or anything like that. Just on place, potentially soul charge 2. Then obviously we have the PGs. So we have 2 Malice, 1 Sanctitude, and 1 Miranda. I do eventually want to get one of each different PG, but for now this is what I got, so I'm working with what I have. And then I did want to definitely give spotlight to the orderly run as well, which is the one who governs Chaos. So the skill is if you have a Vanguard of Chaos in its card name, you can play this with counter +1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to the same number of cards from among them as the number of cards in your soul with Chaos in the different card names, and put them into your soul. And shuffle your deck. Then, if your soul has 8 or more different cards, choose up to 1 card from your soul, call it to Reguard circle, choose one of your Reguards from its card name, it's plus 10k into the turn. So, when we get the grade 3, we want to use the Chaos just to potentially soul charge 3. And then if we do hit that soul requirement to call something out, we want to hopefully call Makani and then give it 10k. So what I really like about this order is that it helps accelerate the soul. It's really a way of accelerating soul. So we get to call something out, which is nice too. But it kind of deck filters pretty well. As I said, if we use this order a couple times, we can potentially like filter 12 cards, sometimes even more, depending if we have 4 different Chaoses. Sometimes we ride the Chaos grade 3 and we have 4 different Chaoses who might have soul charged grade 3 already. So sometimes it's a soul charge 4. So this is an absolutely exceptional card. People to run it at 3, that is perfectly fine too. But the reason why I run it at 4 in this deck is because I always want to see this. This essentially just helps your deck filter a lot. So I love this card a lot, and as I said, I just always want to make sure that I always have Makani on board. You know, I always want to be having 5 attacks every turn. So this definitely helps with that game plan. And then lastly, the triggers, nothing too crazy. As I said, we're just trying to run as many one-offs as we can on the deck. So we have 8 crits. Then we have 3 fronts. Now I do have reasoning for why they're on the fronts. So again, sometimes we don't hit the 13 soul requirement Makani for Chaos, sorry. So if we can swing with Chaos and get a front, we can make our Makanis bigger and actually kind of make it full work. As I said, we usually swing our Makani first and then swing with the Chaos, so both our Makanis stand. So the front will get its maximum effect as we do have those Makanis that will be swinging again. On the center ride, turns will be absolutely devastating too, you know, especially when we have the 13 soul on top of the center ride. We make really massive numbers. And after that, we do run, sorry, once I get these out of the way, we do run the 1 over trigger, and then we of course run 4 different heals. As I said, we want to increase the consistency of always having having multiple one-offs in the deck, so that we're guaranteed to hit 13 different cards in soul, potentially on our first grade 3 turn. So that is deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, and while you're down there, why not subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I upload another video, you will be notified. Adawgz out. See ya.